Today, I'm with the biggest, most effective cold calling real estate coach. We're going to be diving into what systems and dialers to use and what are the best KPIs to track to make sure you're calling the right people. Welcome to another episode of The Hot Take. I'm your host of BatchTV, Jesse Burrell. This is where we dive deep every week into one real estate topic. All right, we got a very special hot take. I have a good friend of mine, one of the biggest, baddest coaches in real estate, Brent Daniels. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is a pleasure. It is an honor.
So real quick, for the audience that may not know who Brent Daniels is, Let's give a quick bio of how long you've been in real estate for, kind of what you're doing today.
So I started real estate in 2004, got my real estate license, started down the journey, thought that I had to get a license to understand what real estate was, because I mean, honestly, like the terms and the language were very confusing. I didn't know what earnest money was. I didn't know what escrow was. I didn't know all of the little things. I didn't know what a title company did. I didn't know what lenders did. I didn't know anything. And so I got into real estate school because I wanted to get the education. But the problem with just pure education is it doesn't give you the action plan to be successful. Education is fantastic, but it doesn't get you paid. Instruction, as you know, Jesse, gets you paid. The actual what do you have to do to be successful, to provide value to the marketplace, to provide value to the community. That's what was something that was still a mystery to me after going through real estate school. So it took me a while, took me like 10 years to figure out how to find discounted properties. And since then, I have been on a mission because wholesaling completely revolutionized, transformed, evolved my life financially and personally, really. And I want to be loud. I want to stand on top of the building and scream as loud as possible to bring as many people into this incredible business as possible. And so that's what I do. I talk to a lot of people. I get very loud about our industry. I try to bring as much genuine enthusiasm to this business because this is a life-changing business. It's absolutely incredible.
So the hot take of today, and it's going to be very challenging for me to match your energy because you have so much of it, but let's get into it. TTP is your coaching. It is your brand. Mm-hmm. Talk to people. And that starts with cold calling. That is the most effective way to talk to people. So for people that are just getting started to people that have teams with VAs, everyone needs to be able to track their numbers. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about you doing this for so long. What are the most important numbers to track?
So the first thing you want to track is your contact rate, and you want that between 7 and 10%.
Right.
Okay. So 7 or 10 people out of 100 that you call, you're having a conversation with, asking them if they would consider an offer on their property. Right. So that's where it starts.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with that. So there's contact rate, which is really important, but you need to make sure that let's take it back a step further.
Yep.
You need accurate phone numbers to make sure you're talking to the right person as well. And you've been on this mission since I met you, basically.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, nothing is more frustrating than spending 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour making calls and you don't talk to anybody, or you don't talk to anybody, the right people.
Yeah. So
what people naturally do is they go, okay, how do I get free phone numbers? Well, I go to True People Search and I put the address in and I try to get their phone numbers. Well, that's 5% accurate.
Yeah.
So then, at about 2018, this incredible company called Batch Skip Tracing came along. Honestly, you guys revolutionized the industry because before you had to jump through so many hoops to get accurate phone numbers, right. And it was really, really under lock and key. And you guys went in and you gave everybody the opportunity to be able to find those. And this isn't a commercial for you guys. It's just the facts.
If you're interested in using batch skip tracing, Brent actually has a code, TTP. Link will be in the description.
The next step after contact is how many people do you talk to that actually would consider an offer on their property?
Right.
Right? How many leads? How many contacts do you need to make to get a lead?
Yep.
That's the next step.
Right. So what does that look like? Because you do this all day, every day, and have been doing it for years and years. So, give us a kind of broad number. So for me, when I had a full team cold calling, our goal was to get 2 leads, qualified leads every single day. But you know the metrics better to how many phone calls need to get to those 2 leads. So you could go on.
Well, and you know, Jesse, because I mean, you guys went nationwide. I mean, you guys were like gigantic. I mean, you guys were doing deals all over. You guys were closing deals every day. Yeah. You know what I mean? So what you're looking at with the how many contacts to leads, you really have to look at what are the price points in the markets that you're calling.
Yeah.
I always encourage people, do not call on lists that if you fix up those properties, they need to be above 150,000 or more. Okay. Yeah. Now there's stuff under that, but the deals are so small and the effort is so high that I just don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze.
You know, I couldn't agree more. And I also want to dive into, you know, when you are on the phone, you've done this so long.
Yeah.
What are a couple tips? How do you what's the best way to open a conversation on a cold call?
Hi, I'm looking for Jesse.
Well, I'm right here.
Right.
What's up,
yeah,
brother?
No, but I mean, listen, you need to sound like the neighbor. You need to sound like your neighbor.
Howdy ho, neighbor.
The neighbor, because you probably are the neighbor.
Right.
So sound like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that if you do the sir and the ma'am and all this stuff, maybe some places in the South that works, but for the most part, it really doesn't. If you go with the first name, they almost feel like they've already had a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to open up.
So like when I was training my team on this, we literally opened the call with John or hey, John.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent.
Yep.
And they're like, who is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're able to start opening dialogue, but you don't want to be formal or them to know that, you know, this is a cold call. You know, you're reaching out to them cold. You don't want to be like, hi, so yeah, I'm looking for houses. Is this John? Like, no, absolutely not. Have a conversation. This is the other thing is I really think that you should you're talking about them being your neighbor or you're their neighbor. Act like it.
Yep.
You know, hey, John, blah, blah, blah. Like, and if they're not interested, just be like, you know, ask another question. Like we actually got a lot of referrals from people by asking that last question.
Hello?
Hello, Chad.
Who this?
I ask the questions here.
This Matt?
No. Tell me, Chad.
This Kelly?
No.
Do you have any neighbors or friends that may or may not be looking to sell?
Oh, no, thanks.
95% of the time, you're getting absolutely not hang up. But you're going to get that one person that's like, actually, my cousin's trying to sell their house. Or this person. It just works. Asking those extra 5 seconds could make you an extra $50,000 every 6 months.
For sure. And then from there, so you've got your list, you've got your contact rate, you got your leads, how many contact to leads, and then how many leads to contracts.
Right.
That's it. And then the next step, the last step is how many contracts do you need to close those deals? Hopefully that amount is the same. Hopefully the properties you put under contract you're closing.
Right. I mean, title issues.
Done everything right.
And
sure.
There
but
might it should be, you should, if you're really good in identifying and doing your job right as a wholesaler, I think you should be above 90% from contract to close
100%. It's just, you just got a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. You know what I mean? A lot of work takes up a lot of brain power, and a lot of brain power stops you from thinking, you know, prevents you from really going after the things that you want to do because you only have a certain amount of energy every day. And so you really want to start cleaning up your processes and looking at your numbers and improving each part of the process so that you can keep it growing and evolving and expanding.
And then make sure, I also, since we do own a dialer company, Batch Dialer, I do want to talk about something that we haven't even told anyone yet is, you know, the spam thing is really starting to take effect with phone numbers. And we actually had, we have a mentor now that really dials in with the big vendors. And it's to the point now to where if you have one agent calling, you need 10 phone numbers per agent. Mm-hmm. So you have you don't want to exceed 140 dials with one phone number. Then you're really getting into the risk for spam. Spam is the other thing. If your number gets spammed, it will kill your contact rate. It will kill everything. Basically, you are burning up money, wasting time.
Yep.
So make sure, I would side on the caution of having more numbers, because if we want to get back to all the things you just talked about, you need to be talking to the people, and do not cheap out on your phone numbers with whatever dialer you're using. A lot of dialers don't share this information. Mm-hmm. This is stuff we're trying to be very, very current with. This is a conversation we had 2 days ago with a consultant we're paying like 6 figures to. Like, it's no joke. and we're going to relay this information to all the people using our service to make sure that they could do their best to get deals.
Listen, the game has changed.
It has.
Listen, the carriers have changed. It's
true.
true.
This is something we wanted to do. We also, share office and do a lot of collaborating together. And I've came to you. We do not have a perfect way to do anything.
Right.
But you are the talk to people guy. You have done this forever. And I'm just so happy that you wanted to be a part of this the way you have been, because you invest a lot into it as well, because if you put your name behind something, you came to me and be like, yo, you need to fix this and fix it quick, because you have a standard, but that pushes us to make sure that we do better to the people using us. And it just helps everyone else win together.
That's it.
But let's say before we go, what is a golden nugget that we could give to someone that's cold calling? What is just so important that we haven't touched on today that you think the audience would get all the value out of?
Okay, so when it comes down to this, I'm going to get a little bit deep here, but it'll take me 2 minutes to do it. Here it is. We deal with any challenge that we have. We're dealing with it internal, external, and philosophically. So internally, what's going on in your head? What are you saying? Are you saying, oh, I don't want to make these calls. I'm too good for these calls. Somebody else should be making these calls. I'm going to be embarrassed if I tell people that I cold call for deals or whatever else. Like, what's going on internally? Or internally, are you saying to yourself, this is my opportunity to make $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a month from just sitting in my room or my living room, making calls and providing an incredible amount of value to the community.
Right.
All right. That's the internal stuff. What's going on? What are you feeding yourself with? What things are you putting into your brain? Are you reading great books? Are you listening to great podcasts? Are you watching great videos? All these things matter when you're thinking about what's going on in your headspace, because that is so incredible. Externally, who is your squad? Are you surrounding yourself with people obsessed with this business, or are you just hoping to jump into this with your, life as usual, not surround yourself with people that are succeeding and obsessed with this business? It's going to be a lot tougher. You got to squat up. You got to find that tribe of people that understand what you're going through, because they're going through it themselves. And then philosophically, are you looking at this and saying, okay, wait, this is a great way to make money and provide, financial freedom for my family and do all that. That's great. That's fantastic. Are you tying that with the fact that you have to provide that $200,000, $300,000, $1 million a year worth of value to your community?
Right.
That's the exciting part. That's the part that I love. When our business does over $1 million a year in wholesaling, I know we provided over $1 million of value to this community, and that gives me a ton of pride. So tying yourself to it and understanding that the people that we work with in this business are in distress and they're stressed out and they need somebody to help them get out of that. That is the fuel. That is the rocket fuel that's inside your belly. That's what takes you from just, being average to being superstar in this thing, is tying everything and knowing everything comes down to how much value am I providing philosophically. So internally, positive, being like really, really putting great stuff, externally, squatting up with the right people, being around people. And the third is philosophically, do you feel like you are changing the face and the happiness and the joy of your community? And if you do that, you can do this forever.
Right. Thank you so much for coming on. Another amazing hot take with Brent Daniels. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on here.
Thank you so much for joining another episode of The Hot Take. Brent Daniels absolutely crushed it every single time. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're coming to you every single week. Let's get it. Check out these other videos right here. Follow me on social media.